All right, well, congratulations, Mike. Super happy to have you back in class tonight to talk to us about how the exam went, what your experience was like. So take us away.
Yeah, sure. So I think overall for the class, it took me about 3 months, and that's with getting sick and work interruptions. So I will say, first off, just stick with it, because those interruptions really set me back. If you take too much of a break, it's crazy how quickly you'll lose your progress if you're not careful. But as far as the exam went, I think it went really well. I was calm and comfortable going into it. I think the course really prepared me for it. Especially the question sessions, the hard questions made easy sessions. Those were really helpful. And I think that helped going through the thought process and training myself to answer the questions in, the most efficient way. So that was really helpful. I think I did use the flashcards leading up to the exam as well. So anytime I knew I was going to be out and not have access to a computer and a quiet space, I would go ahead and use the flashcards, and those were really helpful. I will say my exam in particular, it was basically it was a lot of process and getting you to narrow down what PMI really wanted as the best answer for that process or the situation during a project. I had 0 equation questions on my exam. So not a single EVM question, which was kind of wild. All of the questions were either hybrid or agile. I had no strictly waterfall questions on my entire exam too, which was pretty crazy. I was expecting at least a few, but I didn't get any. And then, yeah, most of them were the standard multiple choice. I'd say about 15 of them out of the 180 were actually matching. So anywhere from 4 answers all the way up to 8, and you had to match the correct, corresponding answer with the result and whatnot within the test. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. As far as the exam itself, I was pretty comfortable throughout the whole thing. I used my entire time. I think I had maybe 5 minutes at the end of each section for checking through flagged questions, but more so than not, I kept with my initial answer, which was my gut on the ones that I was questioning. And I ended up scoring, I think, at the end of it, I ended up scoring, what was the answer? It was like above, what does it say? I have it in front of me here. It says above target on half of the exam, and then the other half I was on target. So overall, I think, I did pretty good. They break it down into 3 sections: process, business, environment, and people. And I was above target on business, environment, and people. And on process, I was on target. So there were a lot of questions where I could easily get it to 50-50. It was just selecting the right one that PMI wanted you to select. So that's the tricky part. So it's really about, kind of understanding the process and picking out the key terms in the questions as you're going through them. And I was trying to think, I think that's really it. It went really well.
That's awesome. I'm super, super proud of you, because I remember, you did have some sicknesses, and then you came back and you really hunkered down and your scores just shot up. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you were able to start improving your scoring that you were making on these simulators?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, as I was going through the test simulations, I would go ahead, well, first off, I would note as I was going through them, I would mark down any of the questions that I was unsure of to check back on them. So whether I got them right or wrong, I made sure I reviewed that material and then used my evaporating data dump to mark that content so that I could review it in more detail, make sure I had it down. So that was really helpful. And then also I went ahead and I did use the template for answering questions, at least initially when I was starting off. And that helped after I was sick for a bit. It helped me having that guidance just to rely on that a little bit when getting started back up into doing the test practice exams. I think other than that, I did get the agile practice guide as well from PMI, and that was helpful for going through a lot of the process stuff within Agile and understanding those components, because I know that was an area that I was kind of weak in. So that was really beneficial as I identified I was weak in the Agile portions, reviewing those questions and then using the guide to help go over that material. So, yeah.
Did you take it on site or virtual? I don't remember.
It was virtual, and that went smoothly. Actually, my test was at 9. I checked in at 8:30, and by 8:40, I was taking the exam. So yeah, I went really fast. I took my pictures, and he had me I lifted up my laptop and used my webcam just to re-show the space. And he's like, "All right, get started." That was it. And I didn't have any problems. I didn't have to contact him. I will actually, that's a good thing to mention here. I was having internet troubles at home leading up to the exam the week of. I was having issues with my Wi-Fi, and I thought I had them resolved. And 10 minutes before the exam, I did have to run and get a wired connection onto my laptop because my Wi-Fi gave out again, even though it had been working for over 24 hours with no issues. So I don't know, it's working now, but yeah, just if you're doing it from home, have some contingency plan in place if you're having issues, or be prepared for that.
Yeah. I love that. So we're just so happy for you. I'm so happy. I know you got to be relieved to get your life back. Yes. But I want to let the students to ask you some questions, those who are here in class that, are getting ready to gear up and take their exam, if they have any questions for you. So does anybody else have any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead.
Sure.
So I just took the simulator for the first time, and I was a little, I guess, surprised. The simulator questions had a lot of what seemed like definitional, like you either knew the term or you didn't. Weren't really following the template of like the hard questions made easy, where it was mostly situational or scenario based. Is the exam like the simulator in that case?
So the actual exam itself was all situational. It was all telling you a story. It did ask a few like process questions, but the majority of it was actually identifying, the process where you were in the project, and having to determine what the next best step or the immediate action you had to take, or a preventative step to prevent that outcome. But most of it was like that. It was like the hard questions made easy.
Okay.
All right. And like I've heard some mixed things. So when I had some of the other students came on after they had taken their exam, they had, you can potentially get a mixed bag. I just happened to, get those types of questions that I did. And the fact that I got 0 math, questions was kind of surprising to me, because I had stressed about the EVM stuff quite a bit. So, but yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions for Mike?
No, I think that was some good insight.
Great.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for you, Mike. What would be like one thing you would say to somebody who's thinking about starting their PMP journey and using the PM Master Prep program?
Take the advice of your coach and Scott as you're doing the questions. Definitely listen to them. Go through the process that they've laid out for you, because it worked really well. Not particularly for this exam, but the way I learn, at least, this was a really beneficial program. It helped you, especially if you're a visual, or you like placing yourself in a situation to answer the questions, as opposed to just digesting all of the content you need to learn. That was really helpful. The pathway for solving problems, using that template, really helps. It also helps with time. You don't realize it if you're jumping around and constantly, going through trying to identify the key points of a question. It helps that process. So definitely stick with that. And simulation exams are really what helped set me up So if you get your scores on point with that and you feel like you're ready, you're ready. So yeah.
Go do it.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mike.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you so much.